trying this outside today because it's a beautiful sunny day, even though, as you can see, there's still lots of snow here. We really truly only got one weekend of snow in Ontario, or at least the southern part of Ontario, Canada. And it's been enough to keep us going for the last several weeks. But we're into March, and hopefully that means that we are into some nicer weather and that some of the snow will disappear. Today's topic is really not one that's particularly solid, in that the content is not about any one individual thing, other than it's to tackle some of the questions that I hear parents ask all the time. We'll talk about some questions that may come up for parents of newborns. I'll find some to do with parents of children that are a little bit older than newborn, and then into toddler years. But I just wanted to make this a little bit more about the kinds of things that come up and questions that come up for me from parents, expectant parents and new parents, because we are also worried about doing it right. And let's be honest, the world we live in tells us that we're doing it wrong all the time. We don't need anybody to remind us of how poorly we're parenting. We're pretty good judges of that ourselves. I want to remind you, and I said this to you in other vlogs before, but I want to remind you that no one on this planet is going to love your baby as much as you do. You love this child so much. Even before you meet your baby, you love your baby. Whether you've birthed this child, whether you're the non-birth parent, whether you've adopted this child, or whether you're the intended parents to a surrogate who's birthing a child for you, it doesn't matter. You love this baby because this is your child. This is your legacy that you're bringing into this world. And so you will make decisions for this child that you truly, deeply, honestly believe are in the best interest of your baby. And if other people don't like what you're saying or what you're doing, then that's on them. It's not on you. I encourage you to truly take some time to dig deep and think about the things that are really deeply important to you, values that are deeply important to you and to your partner as you co-parent, and talk about those things so that you can approach them head on as situations may or may not come up. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about, and the first question that comes up for new parents to me all the time is, am I doing this right? Yes, you're doing this right. You love this baby, you want the best for this child, and you're looking for answers to questions. And all by itself, that means you're doing it correctly. Your baby will be so grateful to the time and energy you've spent putting in trying to find the right answers. I'm going to tell you something that has served me very well over the years, and that is to take what works for you and leave the rest behind. When I was first attending the LeLeche League leaders facilitating the group I was a part of said that all the time. And they kept reminding me I was going to hear different opinions, and that was okay, that we were allowed to have our own opinions, and we were allowed to share our own opinions as long as we said that that was what worked for us and didn't expect everyone to follow our lead. And I want you to do the same thing. There are books out there like The Baby Whisperer and Baby Wise and what to expect in the toddler years, or what to expect when you're expecting, and Good Nights and the baby book. There's so many books out there, and some of them I absolutely love, and some of them I really wouldn't even use to hold up a corner of a table. It's really what works for you. I just don't ever want you to read something and feel like you're not doing something right because you're not following the pattern set out in the book. Trust your judgment. So that's probably the most common question I get. Am I doing this right? Or what if somebody tells me to do something and it doesn't feel right? Should I still do it? No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. And if it's a care provider or someone that you hold in a position of respect, then it may be worth investigating as to why they're making that suggestion to you. Is it new research that that's making them say that? Is it old school research that's making them say that? Is it a technique that worked for them and so they thought that it would probably work for you? There's all kinds of different thought processes on it, and none of them are right or wrong. But just because someone tells you to do something doesn't mean you need to do it outright just because. How do you know if your baby's getting enough milk from your body if you're feeding from your body? You can't judge input because there are no lines on your body to tell you how much milk is going in. So instead we measure output, and we want to make sure that we're seeing a number of wet diapers every day, at least as many as they are days old for the first few days, and at least one bowel movement a day. And a bowel movement is constituted as waste that is the size of a loonie or a toonie if you're in Canada, just slightly larger than a quarter if you're not in Canada. Another question I often get is, what is the value of, or why is it so important? Why do so many people tell me that the baby needs to be skin to skin? And this skin to skin time helps for babies to transition to life outside of the human body. So that skin to skin time gives them that opportunity to be heated by your body, to smell something that smells familiar, to hear your heartbeat, to hear your voice, and to just have a place of calm. And that skin to skin with you as the birthing parent or the non-birthing parent is really critical for at least the first 72 hours of your baby's life, if not the first week. I usually encourage skin to skin for as much of the first week as is physically possible. That just makes the transition to life outside the body easier. But not only that, it offers you the opportunity to feel more easily able to adapt to and respond to your baby's cues and signals. So when babies are skin to skin, you'll hear how their breathing changes as they're getting ready to be hungry, when they're about to evacuate their bowels or their bladder, when they're sleeping. So all kinds of these things come up when they're skin to skin that you hear differently and more acutely when they're right there. One of the other big things that we see as a result of skin to skin care, especially with the non-birth parent, is that the non-birth parent feels more capable of responding to baby's cues. And because they're reacting to baby's cues and doing what baby needs, whether they're swaying, whether they're shushing, whether they're bouncing, whether they're rocking, whether they're patting, whether they're stroking, whether they're just humming, having that baby skin to skin and being able to react like that offers the birth parent the opportunity to see how the non-birth parent is parenting. Because that's another question that commonly comes up. Now my baby is XYZ weeks old, and the non-birth parent is not as affectionate or involved in the parenting process as I thought that they would want to be. And make no mistake, no one is assigning any blame in any of this, but it is not uncommon for the birth parent to be seeing how the non-birth parent is reacting or pulling away if they haven't had a lot of time skin to skin with baby, or if they haven't had the opportunity to be meeting baby's needs on a regular basis. So the non-birth parent pulls away. Maybe they've returned to work, and so leaving the birthing parent at home alone to care for the child all day, every day. And so they're feeling less and less capable of knowing what it is that babies need. Not capable of caring for baby. They definitely are capable of caring for baby and changing diapers and doing bath time and changing clothes and rocking and swinging and singing, but they feel less capable because it sometimes takes babies a little bit longer to adapt to the way the non-birth parent does things, and they tend to react more quickly to the way the birth parent does, and that's just simply because the birth parent's spending more time with them. And it isn't uncommon to see the birth parent jump in to correct how a non-birth parent is parenting, and in so doing, diminishing the confidence of the non-birth parent in their reaction. And it's not intentional. Everyone just wants baby to be happy and fed and comfortable and sleeping when they need to sleep and stuff like that. So it isn't on purpose that people are chipping away at your self-confidence and your abilities to be able to parent, but much like someone outside of your family coming in and telling you that you're parenting your child wrong over and over and over again, in loving ways, not saying it as a criticism or, you know, baby's crying, here, let me take baby. I'm sure I could get baby to sleep more quickly, or baby just needs this from me. Or when we say things like that, we chip away at someone's confidence. And so just remember that skin to skin time in the first week or so makes a huge difference in the confidence level of the parent. Another question I get a lot is about responding every time baby cries or picking baby up right away. And what I want to remind you is that your babies are not fruit. They will not spoil. You can't pick them up too much. You cannot love them up too much. You cannot cuddle them too much. And to be fair, there will be a time very, very soon that your child doesn't want to be picked up, cuddled, or carried anymore. They want to do things independently, and you'll miss those opportunities. So don't waste them. Celebrate them now. Pick your baby up when your baby's crying. But the research supports that. Grandparents haven't read the research the way that some other people have, but what I will tell you is that all of the research shows that if we respond to baby every time baby tells us they have a need that they need to have responded to, and remember, if your child is under 9 months of age, they don't have the capacity to manipulate you or to have wants. Everything that they're telling you, at least in the first 9 months of their life, is a need that they need to have you address. Whether it's that they're lonely, whether it's that they're hungry, whether it's that they need their diaper changed, or that they need to have you help them go to sleep, whatever it is, your baby needs that from you for at least the first 9 months of their life. And as I say, all of the research indicates to us that if we respond to baby quickly, every time baby has a cue that tells us that they need something, and give yourself a break. If you're in the middle of going to the washroom, finish that. If you're in the middle of a shower, finish that. If you're in the middle of getting dressed or making yourself a snack, it's okay to finish that. But by and large, if we react every single time baby tells us that they need something, then their confidence in us goes up. They tend to cry less because they know that we're going to be there to react to them and respond to them as soon as they need something from us. And their adventure spirit goes up because they know that if there's an issue with something that they're trying for the first time, you're going to be right there to help them if they struggle with it in some way. So be confident with your reactions and your reaction time. Get to baby. Let them know you're there. Eventually, you're going to figure out what is really, truly essential for them and what isn't. You're going to learn how their cries are, if it's a need versus a want. But don't let other people tell you that you're going to spoil your baby or you're going to do something poorly to them just simply because you're spending time with them or cuddling with them or picking them up when they're crying. They need that. If you think about it, most of the time when you're upset, it would be nice to be comforted, right? So babies don't know that we're not disappearing on them. And when they can't see us, we're gone forever. It's like that game. I see people put babies in a high chair and then babies will drop something over the edge. And for them, it's a cause and effect. It's a learning tool. They're trying to figure out whether or not this is something that will come back. Does it disappear forever? How long is forever? And so I sometimes hear people go, oh, we're not playing that game. I'm not going to fall for that, picking that back up so that you can drop it again. And it is baby being manipulative. It's a chance for them to learn. They're dropping something on the floor and you're picking it up and they're seeing, oh, it didn't go away forever. It comes back. Isn't that fantastic? Look at this. I'm excited. I'm going to drop it again. And what's going to happen next time? And it's just a learning tool. Speaking of learning tools, I sometimes have parents say to me, my baby used to sleep really well at night. They would sleep all through the night. Now my baby's 7 months old and isn't sleeping so well. They're waking up in the middle of the night and they're really upset. And they're not hungry. They're just really upset. And I remind them that they want to watch for baby's cues. Your baby's going to need to practice their new skills as they develop them. So if your baby's learning to roll, your baby will practice that during the night as well. If your baby's learning to get up on all fours and rock back and forth just before they crawl, they'll practice that in the middle of the night. The best, my favorite, is always when they're learning to pull themselves to stand, but they don't yet know how to get themselves back down. So it's not uncommon for them to pull themselves to stand, whether they're standing in the crib or they've been in a bed and they've gotten out. Now they're standing at the chair in their room or by the doorway or on the bookcase, and they've pulled themselves to standing, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're sleeping soundly, and all of a sudden they scream and they wake you out of a dead sleep. And you're panicked thinking that there's something terribly, terribly wrong, when all it is that the baby can't get down. And so they're standing there and they're looking behind them and then they're looking at you and they're thinking, help me, please help me. I got myself into this situation. I don't know how to get myself out. But your babies, when we put them to bed at 8 o'clock at night and they're going to be in bed for 10, 12, 14 hours, then we sometimes forget that they need to get up and practice the skills to be able to truly master them. And as they get closer to mastering them, they'll practice them that much more. But they will get them and they will get better at them. But don't be alarmed if your baby goes through periods of time where they're sleeping really well and then all of a sudden they're waking again. Maybe they're going through a growth spurt. Babies go through a growth spurt every 3 to 4 weeks for the first couple of months and then every 3 months or so. And they're feeding more frequently, and it has nothing to do with milk supply if you're feeding from your body. It just has to do with your baby needing the milk to change and maybe contain more proteins that target the muscle groups that they're working on so that they can master the skills that they've set out for themselves that they didn't even know that they felt that they needed to accomplish. Those are some of the key questions I get early on in the parenting process, and I encourage you to send me more. I'm always happy to address questions. If you have anything that you want me to talk about, please let me know. You can always email me, babyreadylgbtq@gmail.com. You can leave a comment in the contact us or submission page on my website, www.babyready.info, or by all means leave a comment here. I'll be happy to get back to you. And if I get enough questions, I'll put another segment together and we'll address them together. Maybe it'll be warmer then. I will talk to you soon. Have a wonderful day. Thanks.